in the spirit of not letting the bullies win, in the spirit of not being intimidated, in the spirit of not letting the lies prevail and letting the truth prevail, I do feel like there are a few things that I need to address. So on the Thursday afterwards, so the next day, which I thought all this was going to die by then, it didn't. Paddy did a couple of other interviews, and the interviews were, obviously to promote the fight, he had to do interviews and whatnot, and I don't blame the journalist for asking. Maybe he could have said, I'm not going to talk about this, or no comment, whatever. But that didn't happen. And that's fine. He's allowed to talk about whatever he wants. I just didn't like that he was doubling and tripling down on the lies, because I felt like I went above and beyond, as he noted in others, an hour and 15 minutes trying to back up everything that was said, because I felt like that was important. Because if you don't back these things up, these lies are going to continue and prevail, and that's not something that I think is fair and not something that I want. So, okay, we're going to go through this again, and I'm going to respond to the rest of the stuff, and then we're going to move on our merry way, hopefully once and for all, because this can't continue forever. And by the way, yeah, all right. So first thing I wanted to play was an interview with Shaquille Majori. He did an interview with Shaquille Majori of CBS, and he was asked about this. And again, continued to lie. He continued to double and triple down on what he said, which I had proved quite extensively was not the truth. Frankie, can you play that for me?
Ariel wanted me to not do a paid gig, to do something for free with him. And somehow people are defending him. Simple, that's it. Simple as.
Pause it there, Frank. That's not true. That's absolutely, unequivocally not true. I never asked him to drop anything that was paid or not paid. I never asked him to cancel anything. I was just trying to find my slot after, again, they reached out to me. I'm not going to rehash the whole thing, but this is after all of that. I wanted him to, that never happened. And I went through everything. Like, the last thing I could possibly do here is just post screen grabs, and I'm not going to do that unless they continue this. It never happened. Never mentioned, never insinuated, never suggested, never happened. That makes me sound like an asshole. I would never tell anyone. I appreciate Luke Thomas having my back. He said a lot about this, and I think Luke and our relationship went a little bit sideways at one point, because he thought there's this story out there that I told Joanna to not go on his show. Never happened either. And that bothered me too, and I feel like we cleared the air. I have never told someone to not go on someone's show. I've never told someone to drop an interview to go on my show. Never happened. Ask any fighter out there. Never happened, never will happen, never did happen. So that's a lie. Keep going.
Don't need to talk about it anymore, because that's just a fact. He's come out with his false narrative and said it didn't bother him, but has done an hour and 15-minute video about it.
Pause it there. Yeah, okay. No, I said what didn't bother me was the Dana stuff. I said I was annoyed about the Paddy stuff. And that's the one thing that they're digging. Okay, fine. You want to say it bothered me? Great. It did bother me. All right? It did. Mea culpa. It bothered me, because I don't like people lying, and I certainly don't love them doubling and tripling down. So if you want to take a little victory lap over me saying some stuff didn't bother me and some stuff didn't, say that everything bothered me, great. I did talk for a long time. The beauty of having a 4-hour show is that you can talk for an hour and just go on and on and on. So yes, I'm a little long-winded. Sorry about that. I apologize. The truth is, I didn't feel like I could let it go, because I had all these receipts. I had all these things that I had to back it up with. And by the way, it's a pretty daunting and scary thing to go live and talk about all these things. And, you don't know what people are saying. So in my mind, I was like, man, are people going to hate me for this? Are people going to kill me for this? Like, I'm going up against two behemoths. Are they going to say cringe? Are they going to say this and that? Luckily, it didn't happen. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, are people going to understand where I'm coming from? Are they going to understand why I was so annoyed about all of this? And so, I appreciate everyone understanding where I'm coming from. All right, keep going.
We know it's bothered him. He's had to lie and make himself look good.
Again, it's like, what are we doing now?
But
stop it, Frankie. Like, you're lying, I'm lying. Like, one guy showed facts, had receipts, had everything to back it up, and the other guy didn't. Got his timelines wrong, made up stuff, false. Like, they're using false narratives, this and that. Like, what are we doing here? So keep going.
we'll address this after the fight. Me and my manager, don't use worry. We've got all the stuff there.
Yes.
And he's going to look like an idiot.
I can't wait.
Okay, so you will address
they said they're going to address it after the fight. Oh, I can't wait. What do we want to go? Screen grab for screen grab? What are we going to do? What are you going to address? You're going to continue to make up stuff? Like I asked you to drop this. Like I reached out to you for all the, like, can't wait. I invite it. Let's do it. You do it on your channel. I'll do it on my channel, which I don't get paid extra for any views, which I think our views beat your views, but who's counting? All right, keep going, Frank.
the voice memo that he put out after the fight.
False.
Yeah, the voice memo where it said, "Do you want to meet up?" Didn't once mention an interview. Said, "Do you want to meet up?" So like have a drink or have a drink.
He didn't say that
like
either. Frank, pause it. He didn't say He didn't say have a drink or anything on that voice memo either. He's now trying to say I never said explicitly have an interview, right? All right. Well, what about when I came back and was like, you want to come in studio? You want to do this? None of them were like, no. We're not talking about interview. We're just talking about hanging out. We're just talking about hanging out. We're not talking about interview. What are you talking about? Did they want me to put together a budget for a dinner date? What's this budget that they were talking about? Like everything we spoke about was an interview, was payment, was this, that, and the other. Not once was like, whoa. What are you talking about? Drink, dinner. And by the way, Paddy's been to New York plenty of times. Never went out, never hung out, never went for drinks. One time I told him he asked me where to stay and I gave him some advice, but never invited to go hang, eat dinner. Never happened. So if I misunderstood, I'm just wondering in the midst of all that stuff, why didn't anyone correct me? Please continue, Frank.
But he obviously never saw me as a friend where I saw him as a friend.
This is great.
He only ever saw me as pound signs and dollar signs.
Yes.
I was always just a commodity to him.
And that ends that. So pound signs and dollar signs, again, don't profit off of any of the fighters. He's trying to do the old, I saw him as I'm the victim here, even though they brought it up. They started it. They're the ones that talked about private conversations. I'm the victim here. I was stabbed in the back. He's the bad guy. When in reality, I've never said anything negative about him publicly. I backed him when everyone was talking about the 12 and 12. I criticized his manager, yes, but I backed him and his skills and have been backing him for quite some time, as you all know. And so this whole thing where he's trying to make himself out to be the victim, that he just wanted to hang out. It's like, it's kind of, I hate to say it, it's a little bit sad. It's disappointing. Why don't we just let this die? Because he's like, even you look at on his face when he's talking about this stuff, he's trying to make it out to be like, I'm the one that started this. I'm the one that betrayed him. I'm the one that misinterpreted all that. And it's like, man, how much more can I show? How much more can I do? So I saw that and I was like, all right, we're going to keep this going. And by the way, shout out to my good friend, No Context, who found the clip of me referencing this, the one that made him fly off the handle, the one where he was like, you cunt, this, that, and he said all these people were saying that I said X, Y, and Z. That's the one clip I didn't have last week. He found the clip of me on McAfee's show talking about it. Here's the audio, just so we can, set the record straight from all angles. Have you ever been asked to pay for an interview?
What's that?
Have you ever reached out to someone, talked to a guest and said, hey, come on the show? And the guy's like, or the gal is like, yeah, sure, I'll come on if you pay me.
No,
he pays everybody, I think, right?
No,
you don't pay everybody.
No, you don't say. If somebody said it to me, I wouldn't do it. I present though with some, depending upon what I want to do, because it's like a rev share situation, So like if somebody said to me, you need to pay me, there would be an immediate fuck off. There'd be an immediate right back the other way. Did somebody do that to you?
First time in 15 years covering the great sport of MMA. Yesterday,
No,
I don't want to name names. This was the day after this all happened. I have been lucky. This was the day after all this happened, November 6th. And it was the day of the weigh-ins, which he then said, at the weigh-ins, everyone was saying I was talking shit. But again, as I explained on Wednesday, it's because his manager put out that statement, which I didn't know because I don't follow his manager on Instagram. And people were like, oh, they're very clearly asking for payment. He's in the statement saying you should be paid for interviews. And, let's put two and two together here. So they did that themselves. I said this, keep going. You'll see that I never even hint at who it is. Lucky enough, I have been lucky.
We're in the bathroom. We're
gonna be off anyway.
I've been lucky enough to interview everyone from Hoist Gracie to John Jones to Daniel Cormier to Conor McGregor at the height of it all. And it has never even been hinted, even like whispered, hey, if you could break me off a little something, I'd appreciate it. Yesterday, for the first time, someone asked for payment. And I'm still floored by the whole thing. So I just wanted to know, am I crazy? Or, do you feel the same way? Apparently you feel the same way.
You kind of have to just realize that that's how some people are going to feel, and they're idiots, and you just kind of move on. Now, I don't.
Yeah, there's the platform. So there you go. That's it. That's all. And I said to him, go listen to the audio. I don't think he ever listened to it. There it is. You can clip that off and send it to him. Never hinted, never insinuated. No, none of that. And so I appreciate No Context finding that, because I didn't have it last week. So that's it. That's where it all went sideways. Now, his manager, who I actually think is responsible for a lot of this, who doesn't like me stemming from the time I saw him back in 2015 in Sweden with Brian Stan at a bar, and he was stumbling and all over the bar and kept bumping into me in Stockholm 4 or 5 times. And finally, Brian Stan had to say to him, you do that one more time, I'm going to knock you out. That's the first time I ever had any interaction with Graham Boylan. Legit, no joke, no idea what it stemmed from. Never really had much of a relationship with him. We would text, he'd come on the show, this and that, but I have no idea what the issue is now or what the issue was back then when he kept bumping into me or just, I don't know, wanted to get my attention. It was all very bizarre. I think that he got in Paddy's head and started saying, you need to get paid, you need to do this, Ariel's trying to do this and that because, maybe he's trying to do the Ali thing on Team Dana. Whatever the case is, I actually appreciate, believe it or not, the way he handled it last week. He didn't double, triple down. He just went on his Instagram and was saying that there's context that's missing, that, people fly off the handles, this and that. I mean, it was kind of like this long, rambling, 3-part video carousel thing, which I felt like the guy in Billy Madison, where he's like, at no point during that long rambling thing did we understand anything, and at this point we're pretty much dumber after having to listen to it. But I will say I appreciate the fact that he didn't double and triple down, and it actually seemed like he was stumbling towards an apology, and then the video cut off. And so I will just say I accept your apology if that's what you were getting at, Graham. Like the sort of like long, sanctimonious, pretentious video explaining that context is missing and people misunderstanding when I'm, again, showing receipts and proof is very bizarre to me, but he didn't double and triple down, so I appreciate that. And I will say, if you were, in fact, going to apologize and your video cut off, I accept it. All good in the hood. I wish you the best. And, Cage Warriors, even though I'm irrelevant, even though, I'm not worth a damn, can continue to DM me and ask me to have fighters from Cage Warriors on the show. And if they're, of interest, then I'll have them on the show. No problem. We'll bury the hatchet there if that's what you want. So that's great, because they did continue to ask me to have fighters on the show long after all of this, even though, I'm a maggot and scumbag. Last thing I just want to say about all of this, incredibly, fight happens. You know what happens. I thought it was, a very easy fight to score. I thought it was 30-27, 29-28. At worst for Jared Gordon, and we're about to get into the fight talk in a second, could not believe that the first thing out of his mouth was in reference to all of this, telling Rogan, hey, I should, or you didn't pay for this, or I don't know what the hell he said. Rogan no-sold it. I don't know if it's because he didn't know or did. Couldn't believe after a 50-minute fight and a fight of that magnitude and all that went into it, that that's the first thing. But I actually am pretty blown away by it and thankful for it, because longtime fans of this show will remember I tried to get Matt Mitrione to give us a shout out back in the Mitrione Minute days, and I've tried to get others to shout us out. Now, we had Virna Jandiroba, we had JRC, we had Casey O'Neill with the shirt. No one has ever referenced us or the show on a post-fight interview stage in the cage with Rogan or someone else. That's the first time. So I feel like that's a pretty huge feather in our cap and one to check off the bucket list. So I was actually pretty psyched about that, despite the fact that I think it was a shot, I think. And then my good friend Oscar Willis of the Mac Life asked Paddy about it, and this is the last thing that I'll play about it all, at the post-fight press conference. And, in between bites of his donut, he had this to say.
Jokes with Joe Rogan about did he pay for the interview. I'm curious, was there any part of you that regretted that thing happening this week with all the comments that you're getting on your Instagram and stuff like that?
No, I don't give a fuck. I'm unapologetically myself, lad. I've had that bottled up for over a year where he talks shite. I've had all bots commenting on my page.
Pause it there.
I get on with it, lad.
What did he have bottled up where I talk shite? Again, no one has been able to, I'm sure they would have. Where did I talk shit? I said he deserved more money. Where did I talk shit? And again, I never even talked about all of this from last year. I never brought it up again. The only time I ever talked about it publicly was on the McAfee thing. Now, we've hinted at, Molly can't come on. Why do you think? He doesn't come on. Why do you think? But I never went in depth on it. So what does he talk about? And the bots thing? I mean, come on, Paddy. You know very well the messages, they were all written from people in the UK. I read some of them. They seemed, very familiar in terms of the way they spoke and the way they wrote. That was the thing that blew me away the most. These are his fans. These are his people. They ain't bots, man. Don't insult the audience. Those people aren't bots. They were a bunch of people who felt a certain way and clearly knew what was going on. They saw that what is going on here was this lovable, rootable young man who everyone wanted to see succeed, and a lot still do, has become to some degree like this walking contradiction. You say F the Tories, but you're sitting in front of Dana White, who, if he was a Brit, would be a Tory. And you're talking about, being a socialist and fighting for the people, man of the people, and yet you're talking about your fellow fighters not, deserving X, Y, and Z. You deserve what you can get. Or you say that Brendan Loughnane is your friend, and then you crap on his Instagram followers. Like, the guy's become a walking contradiction, and it's disappointing, but it's not the first time that we've seen someone get some type of fame, and all of a sudden everything gets jumbled in his brain. Again, if he reached out to me right now to bury all of this, I would. And I wish him the best. And I wish him nothing but success. And I hope he gets $1 million and then some from every sponsor. And he makes $4 gazillion from Barstool and everyone else. Do wonder why he was pushing so much for the Fight of the Night bonus if, he's getting all that money, which I talk about all the time. But the point is, I hope he does make all this money. And I hope he is able to get paid for every interview on The Sun. It's just not going to be on this show where you're getting paid. So he says that he, wasn't bothered. He says that it didn't annoy him, yet the first thing out of his mouth is that to Joe Rogan. Again, everything's a contradiction here. Everything is a contradiction. All right, let's finish it up.
You know what I mean? One of them.
Do you think that's an issue that you and Ariel could ever squash, or is that just going to be behind you?
I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Fighters are more important. I worry about fighters.
Fighters are more important, yet all that vitriol, all that emotion to Dana White, out of nowhere, I wasn't even a topic of conversation. Mention it in the post-fight. Again, walking contradiction. If fighters are more important, good. They should be more important. Who the hell am I? Why are you saying anything to Rogan? Why are you saying anything to Dana? Why did you wait a year to bottle this up inside until you were face-to-face with the boss? Why did you wait a year to call me a maggot and a rodent and all these really interesting names? And I won't even go into the territory that people want me to go as far as some of those names are concerned. Why did you wait a year if you don't give a fuck, if fighters are more important? And if you were so mad about this when I reached out in July after your last win, why did you say much love to you and the family, thank you for the note? Why didn't you address it then? Walking contradiction. I don't know what to believe with this guy. I hope it dies. I hope it's done. I'm not going to go on any media tour to talk about it. I'm not going to double and triple down. I'm not going to lie about it. But if they continue to lie about it and continue to double and triple down, I'll keep it going. I have no problem. You learned last year, I am as petty as they come. High Road Helwani is no more. I do not mind sticking up for myself because Lord knows no one else is going to. Lord knows you all want to run with it if they'll let you run with it. It ain't going to happen. Not here. Not as long as I have this microphone. Not as long as I have the truth. And as long as I have the truth, I'll continue to reveal the truth. Everything he said was a lie in the initial thing with Dana, in the follow-up, in what he just said there, all a lie. And I'm really, really proud of the fact that none of the fighters, backed up anything that he said. Show me one. Couldn't find one.